The real reason how meditation could simplify uncertainty. This morning's lesson is drawn from the 61st verse of Yong-jig xuan-jue's The Song of Enlightenment. Let's chant. Look around, there is not a thing to be permanently grasped. There are no people, there are no Buddhas. All the worlds in the universe are as evanescent as bubbles in the sea. All the sages and worthies are as fleeting as mere lightning. Even if an iron wheel rolled across my skull, meditation, wisdom's light would still shine. Well, that's a grisly thought, isn't it? Let's talk about stress perception. Ask a biologist and they will tell you there are all types of actual stressors. Some are circumstantial, some are physical, some are interpersonal, and some are mental. Now, the ability to experience stress, according to a biologist, is not a flaw of our central nervous system. It is a function. We are wired to perceive stressors and have a stress result to promote survival. In the 70s, a wonderful biologist explained that nature only makes sense when seen through the lens of natural selection. There are random mutations, and then those mutations either hinder an entity's survival, or neutral, or advance its survival. If an entity survives, then its traits are passed on, and that's how natural selection works. It's very cold, it's very clinical. There is nothing mystical or magical behind it. We did not evolve the capacity to experience stress because of some caprice of a real or imagined entity. No. These are designed to, these have evolved to support our survival. Their presence is not an indictment. Yes, it may be uncomfortable. It may be destructive in the long term, but in the short term, it can be beneficial. I have a whole shit ton of disabilities. I rely on the stress hormone cortisol to get stuff done. I schedule things in a certain way so the cortisol will keep me from slipping into lethargy. That's just one of many examples of using our mechanisms to generate and perceive stress in a beneficial way. What's a frequent cause of stress? Change. And in Rome, it was written, change is the only constant. And when change is ever present. Every season, we see with the changing of the seasons, we see the impermanence of a year. With the waxing and the waning of the moon, we see the impermanence of a month. With the rising and the setting of the sun, we see the impermanence of a day. With the swelling and the sinking of our chest, we feel the impermanence of a breath. Perhaps that is why some have written, ever-changing, one and all, and there is nothing permanent to grasp. In terms of survival, the impermanence of safety is scary. The impermanence of water is safety. The impermanence of food is safety. Impermanence of shelter is scary. The impermanence of relationships is scary. These things are supposed to be scary because those things are requisites to survival. The question is not, so if someone tells you that the mere perception of fear is bad, think them for the time, but run away from them. There are in the West, there are entire schools of metaphysics that boast on their ability to choose what they perceive and to choose what they feel physically as well as emotionally. And that does not lead to long-term well-being. That leads to the excitation of our yang tendencies of being rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, and that does not lead to peace or love or joy. But what about its opposite? If we're able to deal skillfully, well, so what is the most skillful way to deal with stress? What is the most spiritual way to deal with stress? Is there a way to deal with stress that is flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind? And the answer is yes. Yes, there is. Every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, we are automatically accessing our sympathetic nervous system. Ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord, it has evolved not for the two extremes of mind blinking or concentration, but instead to simply notice, and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. This is known as mindfulness. But what are we to do with that which we notice? What are we to do with all those sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like? All those emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. All the external and internal, physical and mental, pleasurable and painful, interesting and boring, glorious and grotesque. What are we to do with those things? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are automatically and effortlessly accessing our parasympathetic nervous system. It too is ensconced within our spinal cord, this time in the lower lumbar region as well as the tippy top of the cervical region. It has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release, and we call this meditation. Practice mindfulness and meditation as little as once every 12 hours or so, and you'll find that the blood that would normally pool in the amygdala, the seat of anxiety and aggression, instead begins to pool in our anterior cingulate gyrus, an inch or two behind our forehead, the seat of empathy and love and compassion. Empathy is the highest empathy, is spontaneous and uncontrived. It is the byproduct of a healthy meditation practice. When our choices, utterances, and deeds flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, our life is like heaven on earth. It's still interesting, but we're able to dance through it. I look forward to chanting and meditating with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. Oops, is that the right button? No, it's not. Let's try this again. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent more than 8 hours a day, every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. This morning, let's practice the latest iteration of the Gentle Zen practice text, or sadhana, if you're fancy. Pardon me. Let's begin together by chanting the Heart of Wisdom Sutra, adapted and amplified from traditional sources by yours truly. It is said that Quan Chi and Pusa and knocked up of love and letting go, while moving in the deep peace of the perfect understanding of awareness and release. Shed light on the five aggregates and found them equally empty. After this realization, she made peace with all pain. Listen, Shariputra, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Form does not differ from emptiness, emptiness does not differ from form. The same is true with healing, appraisal, impulse, and awareness. Listen, Shariputra, all phenomena are marked with emptiness. They are neither produced nor destroyed, neither corrupted nor purified, neither increasing nor decreasing. Therefore in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no appraisal, no impulse and no awareness that once perceived cannot be released. No sensation, no flavor, no scent, no sound, no sight, no phenomena that once perceived cannot be released. No body, no tongue, no nose, no ears, no eyes, no mind that once perceived cannot be released. No feeling, no tasting, no smelling, no hearing, no seeing, no noticing that once perceived cannot be released. No interdependent origins and no extinction of them. From confusion to aging and death that once perceived cannot be released. No stress, no confusion, no liberation, no path, no understanding, no attainment that once perceived cannot be released. Because there is no attainment that once perceived cannot be released. The Bodhisattva archetypes of awareness and letting go supported by the perfection of understanding, find no obstacles for the minds that once perceived cannot be released. Having no obstacles that once perceived cannot be released, they transcend the tyranny of fear, liberating themselves forever from the tyranny of illusion and realizing perfect nirvana. All Buddhas of the past, present, and future, thanks to this perfect understanding of noticing and releasing, arrive at full right and universal enlightenment. Therefore, one should know that this perfect understanding of noticing and releasing is like a great mantra, is like an unequaled mantra, the destroyer of the tyranny of suffering, the incorruptible truth. A mantra, prajna paramita's perfect wisdom of awareness and release could therefore be proclaimed. This is the mantra gate gate para gate parasam gate buddhi swaha. Go completely and perfectly go to enlightenment, may it be so. Mindfulness and meditation are known by many names, such as Satipasati, Proto-Zen, Chan, Dhyana, Mahamudra, Mahasandhi, Ati-Yoga, Dzogchen, and Treksho. Despite what you call it, in the words of Billy Joel, it's still rock and roll to me. Good old Einstein reminds us that any educated idiot can make things more complicated, more difficult, and more violent. However, it takes a lot of courage and a little bit of genius to move in the opposite direction. What is the easiest way to practice mindfulness? During each inhalation, silently and mentally recite sitting tall, thus reminding your body to generate a vertical traction between your tush and your head. What's the easiest way to practice meditation? During your exhalation, silently and mentally recite relaxing. Let's give this a shot and see how it plays out. Now let's transition to the one-syllable version. During each inhalation, let us silently and mentally recite the adjective tall. During each exhalation, let's silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. If at any point you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Please do not wait until the end of the live stream. It's far, far better if you strike while your curiosity is hot. I should say strike while the iron of your curiosity is hot. I'll check for questions approximately once every 9 minutes or so. You're going to notice all sorts of stuff as you play with these words and sit and breathe and relax. Noticing things is not an indictment. It's not a failure. It's not your job to chase after things or flee things. It's okay for them to be buzzing around in the background. That's part of the process. That's part of the magic. Some of those background things could be interesting, some could be boring, some could be glorious, some could be grotesque. Sitting tall supports our perception. Relaxing supports our release. Just because you release a problem doesn't mean it goes away. What we're releasing is our resistance to what comes up. As we mature in the practice, whatever comes, we will let it come. Whatever stays, we will let it stay. And whatever goes, we will let it go. This is not forced through willpower or belief or visualization or emotional experience. It's simply a byproduct of twice daily exercise, just like walking might exercise your heart and lungs. Welcome to this morning's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Please do not wait until the end. Rather, strike while the iron of your question is hot. What's the most efficient way to practice mindfulness? During your inhalation, silently and mentally recite the adjective tall. Sitting tall makes it much easier to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. The most efficient way to practice meditation is to silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease during your exhalation, which functions as a synonym of relax, and of course promotes mental release. What we're releasing is not what's coming up, but more specifically, what our resistance to what's coming up. The mark of maturity is the spontaneous experience of welcoming whatever comes, welcoming whatever stays, and releasing whatever goes. These are not beliefs or aphorisms. It's far better just to put your energy into noticing and releasing and let everything else take care of itself. Doing so, it's possible to master the Buddha's path in as little as a week. Let us seal this morning's practice with the love that wishes for universal mastery of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May all master letting go, love, kind communication, conduct, and calmness. May all master the effortless effort of love-centered spontaneity as well as mindfulness and meditation. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. Oops. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.